I, Dr. Shikha Saxena, on behalf of AIP and IAN Cell, welcome you all in the webinar series of 2023. Today we have a very renowned speaker with us, Mr. Vikram Mitra. Mr. Vikram Mitra is a managing director and co-founder of Delta Botanicals and Research Private Limited. He is the pioneer of Indian medical cannabis and hemp industry, a well-known entrepreneur and social activist. He is also the General Secretary at Multidisciplinary Alliance of Cannabis and Hemp, NACH India. Mr. Mitra is recognized as India's first internationally contracted medical cannabis consultant and is ranked as the #1 medical cannabis consultant in India. He is the strong advocate for the medicinal use of cannabis and has been actively involved in promoting its benefits in India and around the world. Now, before starting his valuable thoughts, I would like to invite Dr. Sandeep Arora, sir, Director AIP, to say a few words and invite him. Thank you, sir.
Very good afternoon and welcome to the expert for today, Mr. Vikram Mitra, an entrepreneur as well as a person from scientific and industrial background, pharmacy. So we welcome you on behalf of the management of MT University, Founder President Dr. Ashok Chauhan, Chancellor Dr. Atul Chauhan, Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. Balinder Shukla, and the other members of the management committee. So it's a privilege to have you here and to do this exercise and spare your time for the benefit of the students, sparing your valuable time. And also welcoming you on behalf of the College of Pharmacy faculty team as a whole, and also on behalf of the students who will be expectedly benefiting from this exercise. This is an exercise as a part of the innovation and entrepreneurship cell that exists at the university, at the central level as well as at the institutional levels. And the purpose is evident as per the requirement of different countries and as per mandated now by most of the all of the universities, that universities have to play a role in the, not only in academics but also in research promotion, research excellence, and also a possibility of promoting the students for taking the innovations, if they are doing, to the level of translational development as well as possibility of entrepreneurship. Now, because all these things are very diverse, academics excellence is a diverse field requiring its own focus. Research and research excellence is again a very diverse field which also requires a very diverse focus. And entrepreneurship also is a completely diverse field requiring a special set of skills which may not be very much as same as in research or in academics. So there are all different dimensions. And when we talk about as a country, how the next generation can contribute to the growth of the country as an innovation-driven country, as a we are hearing a lot of about the growth of India in the innovation index as well as the startup index. India is making rapid progress. And in continuation of the same, our focus is to see that if some of the students can catch up the idea and take you as an example, they can take you as an exemplary person as well as personality as well as a professional, so that they can get some clues as to how they can proceed if they have some individual ideas. And because ideas are not restricted just by way of large qualifications or by way of financial power, ideas may also be prevalent in the young minds as well as young age. And if they get the right information at the right time, the possibility of the entrepreneurship as well as the success of the entrepreneurship, these are again two different aspects. Starting an entrepreneurship, starting a startup, and then sustaining it in the first phase, then sustaining it for the second phase, and then taking it to the profitability and then maintaining it. So all these are different aspects. At least on some of them, your experience as a entrepreneur itself will be a great help to these students and stimulate them by your being comparatively not very much different as far as the age also is concerned. At a young age, you have initiated this thing. So whatever you say, that will be having a great impact. and I hope it will be a great learning experience. And again, I will cite your idea of entrepreneurship, which is again very thoughtful and very advanced looking. It was expected by the way of the things that were going on since last 4 or 5 years. The Western countries gradually making regulated use of cannabis, gradually a part of the therapeutic as well as the preventive, the uh, the the scheme of things in the medication or therapeutic assistance or in the management of particularly CNS and cardiac and other pain conditions. So it was already prevalent that this is the one way that will be coming up as a very strong industry. Already, lot many industries globally they have jumped into this. And from India, it is very heartening to see your organization totally based on this aspect, and which shows that when you have a pharmacy background, education background, if you are open to ideas, if you are open and utilizing the internet and other information very nicely, it is very possible that you can go into the right direction and make a very good decision. And hopefully, we should be seeing you very prominently across the various echelons of business and success. So once again, I welcome you, and you are again open to the students, and you can have your presentation or your then session, and then you can also interact with students. I would request all the students to put on their videos also, so that side by side some of the formalities and the process also can be recorded for a good documentation for the I&E cell, because it is students should understand that it is not possible to arrange the time for an expert from outside, because they are also having their own responsibilities, and it is not possible to organize activities at the beck and call of anyone or just immediately. So I hope they will be fully into the lecture and they will be trying to get the maximum out of it. Please. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sandeep, and my thanks to the entire MIT faculty and the MIT Institute of Pharmacy, to the Chancellor, to the Vice Chancellor, and to the entire management. I'm grateful to have this opportunity to be invited at this podium and be share my insights with students of the MIT University. It's a quite momentous time for me as well, because my brother was a pass out of MIT. He was in the first batch of cybersecurity when MIT opened up their cybersecurity programs. He was in the first batches of MIT University, and it gives me a lot of a lot of hope that along with other universities that have been taking ahead the work with cannabis, I'm really happy that I am able to associate myself at this program along with the faculty, and with the students, and share my insights on cannabis. So thank you again. I would like Dr. Sandeep said, I would request all the students and everyone to please turn on the camera. It's a bit more interactive, and I would not be doing a kind of a particular presentation. I would like to have an interactive session with everyone. So can I please request everyone to turn on the cameras? Thank you. And I still see blank screens. If there would be some, if you cannot, turn on your videos because you're in a space where it's like you don't want to, that's fine. But let's have a very interactive session and try to show our faces. Okay, so it says that it is disabled by the host. So may I request the host to kindly permit the people to turn on their videos? Okay. Now I think everyone can turn on the camera. Can you please try? Yeah, I do see some faces. Yes, come on. Turn on your cameras. I can see. Yes, I see some faces. Dr. Preeti is here with us. And okay.
No. Spelling the fraction का नहीं, so far.
Okay, so I will not take a lot of your time, but I would again request everyone to kindly turn on the cameras if you can. And without taking much of your time, let me start with our session. So I hope you guys can also unmute yourself, because I will be also interacting with, I will also be interacting during the session as well with all of you. So cannabis, very interesting subject. What is the first thought that comes in your mind when you think about cannabis? Can anyone tell me? Can I see some messages? Or can I get anyone to unmute themselves and tell me?
So, sir, cannabis is something that takes you to another world.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you for that, Dr. Annie. And I also see there is called recreation. Okay. Yes, it comes out with a lot of things. It takes you to a different world. It is something that has been talked about a lot. We all know that it is a part of our, I mean, everyone here has heard about cannabis somehow or other, right? And we also know that it has been a part of our culture for a very, very long time. At the same time, it's something that most of the time comes to the, when it comes to students, you think of it as cannabis, but I'm pretty sure there are students here that also do know about some other aspects about cannabis. If you do, you can just please do put in your comments in the chat box. I'll wait for you. Okay, so cannabis as a plant has been a part of our a part of our Indian history for a very, very long time. It has been one of those plants that has been revered in the Vedas, and at the same time, it is one of those when you look up at different places when it comes to your the recent news, you would have also seen that it has a lot of medicinal and it has got a lot of therapeutic uses as well. But apart from that, did you know that this compounds, that are also created in, that makes you high, or that makes you feel out of a world, gives you an out of a world experience, or, has a kind of an, has an outworld experience, as Dr. Annie said. Has any one of you is a runner here? Is there anyone who does running? Is anyone here who has been a marathon runner? Well, if you have been a marathon runner, or if you have ever had the chance to run, you must have seen that after running for a long time, when you take a pause, you feel happy, right? You feel as if like there is a sudden rush of a feeling within you, which makes you feel very happy. And it's something that also makes you feel very elated. Now, these are the compounds which are naturally, produced in our human body that gives you these feelings. Now, these compounds are called as endocannabinoids. Okay. Endo means something which is inside, which is produced inside our body. Cannabinoids are compounds like cannabinoids. As you can see the name, it comes from the plant cannabis. So cannabinoids are also produced within our body. These are called as endogenous cannabinoids. And within our body, there is this very unique system, which is called as the endocannabinoid system, which was not discovered for a very, very long time until it was only in the 1980s when the late Dr. Raphael Mechoulam was able to isolate the cannabinoids compounds from the plants and was also able to discover that within our body, we are not just producing these compounds, but there's a whole system of neurotransmitters that work with our body and help in maintaining homeostasis. So I'm pretty sure you guys are studying in pharmacy, and there's a lot of people who have an interest also in the medical field. So does anyone know what is homeostasis? Can anybody give a small example of what is homeostasis? Okay, so homeostasis is basically a state when all our bodily functions are functioning in the most balanced way. It is a state of balance when your heartbeat is rhythmical, when you are working in a most optimal condition, not just physically but psychologically as well. That is called as a state of homeostasis. And the endocannabinoid system is a system that basically helps maintaining this homeostasis in the human body. Now, what I learned during my journey, during my journey, that there is so many things about cannabis that we do not know about. There is so many things about its therapeutic value, and we didn't even know that our own body produces cannabinoids. Some of the two of the cannabinoids that are known to humans, one is called anandamide. As you can see, ananda means bliss, and amide, it's a kind of an amide which is produced by our body. The second one, it is actually produced by our pineal gland. The second one, called as 2-arachidinoglycerol, which is produced in the human breast milk. Now, can you imagine a compound that everybody thinks is just something related to the cannabis plant or gets you high or whatever, is also produced in the human breast milk? You wonder why. You wonder why these things have been there. Cannabis and cannabinoid compounds, when you have this information with you that these are produced within your body and that it has got some, what comes in your mind? That is there something more? Is it something which is is it a necessity for the human body? Is it something which is just for recreation? Is it something that has just been out there for no reason, but just a kind of a plant out there? There are many questions that came up in my mind when I started. And just like Dr. Sandeep said, that, it's not, entrepreneurship and innovation are very two different things, but there is a convergence that comes, and that's how your startup journey starts, So I'm here to give you that, I'm pretty sure there must be a lot of questions boiling in your head coming up that, okay, there are so many things related to cannabis, but how does it work? How do you explain someone with a scientific background that what is its working ways? What is the ways in which it interacts with the human body? What is the pathways in which it works? So there must be a lot of questions. And when we have such questions like this, 12 years back, 13 years back, when I started my entrepreneurial journey, there was no way to answer this. There was no one who could actually tell you that how cannabis works, what is the ways and what is the pathways in it works, and is there any medical or scientific values attached to it as well. It was all back in the time in 2012 when I started my entrepreneurial journey. It was all about cannabis and the proportionality of cannabis there with a person, and the time and the time needed to be in the prison. Nobody even knew that there is a medical and scientific use clause within the law, within the NDPS law, which governs the whole, and which governs everything related to narcotics and psychotropics. There is a very clear-cut law and a section which defines that how an organization, how a company, or how an institution might carry forth medical and scientific use research of cannabis for either be drug development or be for scientific uses, or even for running clinical trials. There was a very clear cut, there was a very, very clear cut law which was there, but unfortunately, it was never looked into. Okay. Now, when I started my journey in 2012, I the I was lucky enough to be a part of the cross-country clinical trials of GW Pharma's Sativex. Has anyone of you heard about Sativex and Epidiolex? Can I get a message, if it is possible, to send a message here? Okay, fair enough. So,
If Dhaka or any other student, you can put on your mic and respond. Anything you want to add?
yeah, students, if you can add anything, please. If you can please turn on your mics, and if you have to say anything, or even if you say that you don't know about it, it's fine. But just let's have a nice interaction. Come on. Does anyone know about Epidiolex or Sativex? Does anyone know about GW Pharma?
No, sir. No, I have no idea actually.
Thank you, Kirti. That's very nice to come on board and say something. I'm very happy to have your response. So, well, GW Pharma is the first pharmaceutical company in the world to get a US FDA approval of a drug which has got an cannabis-based active botanical extract as a drug. So Sativex is one of those drugs, along with Epidiolex, which has a whole plant botanical extract of cannabis, and it has been approved by US FDA for the use in Raynaud-Gaston syndrome, in one of the treatment-resistant epilepsies, and at the same time for diseases, for management of certain treatment-resistant diseases. Epidiolex is allowed for sale in USA and in Europe. Sativex, as of now, is being sold mostly in in Europe and in North America in a very limited places. Now, what happened is, when they before this company went into getting this product approved, they went ahead and did a lot of cross-country clinical trials. And I was lucky enough to be a part of those trials way back in 2012. I helped the company as a techno-legal consultant to work with them on helping them to import a cannabis-based active botanical extract formulation and run clinical trials of it here in India. Back in the day in 2012 and 2013, India had only two systems of medicine. One was your the indigenous system of medicine, and then it was the modern medicine. Under the indigenous medicine system, there was Ayush, and under the modern medicine, there was just like your modern medicines, but there was nothing as a botanical drugs, or something which is called as phytopharmaceutical drugs. Phytopharmaceutical drugs as a class of drugs came into existence in India only in the year 2016. Now, prior to that, India had no ways to start commercially selling any kind of cannabinoid-based drugs. Prior to that, it was just research. And during this time, when I was working with this CRO firm, and I was trying to help them out, I noticed a thing, that while I was doing my research with cannabis in India and how there are different kinds of systems which does incorporate cannabis, I found out that although cannabis was found in every corner, I mean, like everybody knows here, it is accessible to everyone. If you want to find cannabis, you can find it anywhere. But if you want to get a cannabis-based medicine for someone who is in pain, either be it due to cancer or be it due to some treatment-resistant disease, I found out that there was no way to get that medicine accessible to anyone, And back in that time, my aunt was suffering with glioblastoma multiforme. although I knew that there was a way that cannabis can help her, there was no way I could help her. There was no way that I could actually convince my family. Neither was there a way that I could also go to a GP or to a doctor and ask them that if there is a way in which cannabis can help me, or if in a way I can get a cannabis-based medicine into India. That was the tipping point of my journey. Prior to that, I was doing more of a self-funded research on what can be done in cannabis. But this is something that nudged me to go and delve further deeper and get into a stage where I felt that it's time that we should do something in India, make this medicines accessible, and make sure that we can just at least attach, we can go ahead and at least attack one problem at a time. There were multiple problems when it comes to cannabis, which I will talk to you later on. If you have any questions, I will also clear that. But before that, our first step was to start something in India with cannabis. And that's how I started my first company, that was Hempcan Solutions. We found out back in that time that there are many classical formulations in Ayurveda, which has got cannabis in it. It is either in the form of leaves or powdered leaves. It is in the form of seeds or whole plant extract. And in order to start with and to make this medicines accessible to people, we went with the Ayurvedic route. We started with manufacturing Ayurvedic medicines like Sarpagandha Ghanavati, like Trailokya Vijayavati, Kameshwar Modaka. These were some of those classical medicines that that we started with, and that's how officially the first medical cannabis company of India was born, called as Hempcan Solutions. While I did my work also with Ayurveda, I found out that in Ayurveda the system is very different. Our Ayurvedic system is very rich in history, and it's also a very systemic approach to human body. It has a different approach. It doesn't have the same approach the way conventional medicine has. Ayurveda believes in a system where you take care of your entire health. It is not just a stopgap button, press button, release thing that you're going to take a pill and you're going to be okay. Ayurveda is a holistic approach, which includes diet, regimen, and understanding what are the different, our three doshas, kapha, vata, pitta, understanding those three doshas, and depending on that, medications, diet, regimen is given. And what I understood is that it takes Ayurveda a bit longer time for people to accept as well. This is also something that I found out. Yeah, it's something that I saw that people, although it is Ayurveda as a system of medicine has been indigenous to our country, when it comes to a wholesome acceptance of it, it is very, very limited. Now, if I say that, if we have an emergency in our home, or if we have a kind of an immediate thing which release immediate medical attention, unfortunately, we will not go towards an Ayurvedic doctor, but we will go to a normal ER, right? We will go to a normal ER. We will go and get ourselves checked. We will get an injection shot or, get a medicine prescribed so that we can get an immediate relief. So,
Excellent.
yeah.
So,
And
sir,
then,
I think this is a way where you were actually giving a new version to the traditional folk medicines of India.
correct. Absolutely correct.
Sir, I have this one question, if I can ask that, the journey that you've just started off with the company. So you were an innovator and then you moved on to an entrepreneur.
Correct.
Which was more challenging, like the innovator or the entrepreneur? What was more challenging?
That's a very nice question, Dr. Annie. I will say in my case, both of it was challenging, because when it comes to cannabis is still in a we are still in a pre-regulation market here in India, if you look at it nationally. So when it came to innovation, today I'm lucky enough to be working with with institutions like IIT Roorkee and National Institute of Pharmaceutical Education and Research, Ahmedabad. But back in that day, convincing anybody when it comes to cannabis was one of the biggest hurdle because of the social stigma attached to it. It was also awareness. There's a lack of awareness also, wherein like institutions that come directly under the central government did not know, or do not know that they have the leeway to actually take a permit to cultivate cannabis and do their medical and scientific research. So getting them on board initially was very difficult, but we were able to do it. And then when it came to entrepreneurship, that was equally difficult as well, because launching a product is not easy. And after launching a product, making sure that you are having a sustainable business model is also very important. And when it comes to cannabis, there are certain also, as we delved deeper into the entrepreneurship and to the journey, we saw there were more and more challenges on the ground. For example, when it came to advertising, Google, Facebook, Twitter, they still, Twitter just very recently removed their advertising ban on cannabis. And LinkedIn does allow cannabis related ads, but Facebook, Google, they still do not, So that's a big hurdle out there as well. So yeah, those
Mighty
were
challenging.
yes, yes. So those kind of challenges were there. And at the same time, there are laws, like, there are different state laws and different central laws when it comes to cannabis. So it's a state affair. And when you're working with something like this, you need to make sure that your product that you're making is actually satisfying the rules of every individual state government. Now that becomes challenging for a business, because you can't take approvals for each and every state, especially when you're a startup, to go on and do that. You need a homogeneous system of
Right.
regulation that immediately supports you. So yeah, these were some of the challenges that I faced initially.
So, sir, that gives me another insight to it. I mean, you can definitely throw light upon it. When our students who come in with a lot of innovation and ideas and want to be an aspiring entrepreneur, so, what is one thing that you would tell them that with which they should enter into this world of entrepreneurship? Because see, we all have ideas, we all want to earn money with that idea and innovation, but what is that one thing that will make us go long into this struggle of this long entrepreneurship? So one tip for our aspiring budding entrepreneurs.
That's one thing that will take, as an entrepreneur, really take you up ahead and far, is your IP. It is your IP. It's the kind of, that is, you see, previously, Dr. Annie, there were not a lot of people who were entering into this industry. But as time is going by, there is more and more companies which are trying to enter in this field. And at this time, for an entrepreneur, the first thing that one should see is what is the problem that you are really targeting, and what is the solution, and is that solution patentable? That is the basics of this industry.
True. So we have this question from someone, from Priyankita. She asked, what are the diseases that can be addressed with cannabis? At least this gives an awareness to our students that we have a medicinal cannabis part to it.
Definitely. So I would like to share something at this, if that is visible to everyone here. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, very much.
Okay. So as you can see, that's a very beautiful question that Priyankita asked. Before we go there, I wanted to show everyone here something. This is a human endocannabinoid system. This is, as you can see, before we go to diseases, we must know where all does cannabis affect in our body? Okay, so like we all know, there are different receptors in our body that bind to different compounds, and that is how we get an effect. So same thing in cannabis. When it comes to cannabis, the human endocannabinoid system, there are two kinds of receptors that are known, which is called as the CB1 receptor and the CB2 receptor. The CB1 receptor, as you can see, it is in white, is majorly present in the brain area. Okay, it is also spread out, but majorly CB1 is in the brain. When it comes to CB2 receptors, it is spread out in most of all of the places like our reproductive organs, the immune system, the peripheral nervous system, like this. And as you can see, wherever these cannabinoid receptors are there, any kind of disease which is related or is close by to those organs can be treated, can be managed with cannabis. So some of the most treatment resistant diseases that you can see, for example, Tourette syndrome, there is no medication for that, for Tourette syndrome, but cannabis works wonders for that. For epilepsy, for childhood epilepsy, there is nothing better than cannabis when it comes to childhood epilepsy. It stops seizures, and there are many papers with it. When it comes to multiple sclerosis or the spasticity related to multiple sclerosis, it also helps with that. And on top of it, the major focus has been on pain. So to be more specific, neuropathic and cancer pain. That has been the focus area of a lot of companies and also of researchers right now. As you have seen, that cancer is one of the biggest and the most troubling endemic diseases everywhere in the world. And as of now, there has been a lot of proof that cannabinoids actually help not just in managing cancer pain, but also in some cases it has been seen to cause the complete meltdown of the cancer cells. And that's a wonderful thing, because nothing in modern medicine works that way. We have seen that, and the pathway in which it works is also wonderful. It's like targeted medicine. So what it does is that cannabis, the cannabinoid compound, binds with the cancer cells and causes apoptosis. Now apoptosis is a process where the oxygen supply to the cells are cut off, and this is how cancer, it stops the cancer cells from spreading. Now, this is the pathway in which it works. And as more and more research is going on, we are finding even more therapeutic benefits of cannabinoids. And from going into from being just looking at mass market ailments, the future is also going towards personalized medicine. So there is a research right now that's happening in Israel as we speak, where people are trying to find out how different strains of cannabis actually help in treating the disease with in people with a particular genetic predisposition. Now imagine, that's the advancement that we are looking at, that is slowly happening throughout the world. So yeah, these are the kind of diseases that can be, these are the major diseases. But along with that, there are some other new focus areas also that are coming up, but that's a topic for a later time.
Yeah, and as per my knowledge, sir, that whatever knowledge I have for the cannabis, it is said that this medicine just completely surpasses the first pass metabolism. That means it doesn't go to the liver as most of the allopathic medicines does. And not only that, it also has a potent hepatoprotective. It not only prevents the medicine to go there, it also, healthifies your liver. So added advantage. That is why
Exactly.
everyone is onto it. So, sir, like with entrepreneurship comes the thing of getting the funds, getting the money, Before we start earning things, we need to put in a lot of things. I'm sure students must be having, those who are really into this, would be thinking of how to arrange this and what are the things. And I think this should be very, very informative for them, because this requires a lot of, you have gone through it. So if you could just throw some light upon it.
Definitely. When it comes to innovation, India has, to be very honest, very little support mechanism when it comes to innovation. But at the same time, uh, there are new and with the Modi government coming into power, and they have done some remarkable job when it comes to streamlining processes and getting fund approvals from DST or from DBT. There are a couple of funds out there now. When I started, it was very, very difficult. But right now, there are grants such as, there are grants such as the BIRAC grant, the BIG grant. They help a lot. If you apply for them, as of now, they have funded 4 companies at the tune of 50 lakhs when it comes to hemp, or when it comes to the different applications of hemp. One of them is on the medicine side, and the rest 3 of them are on the industrial side. At the same time, there is the Startup India Seed Fund, which can definitely propel a lot for your initial seed funding needs. And then there are sector agnostic funds with different incubators that actually help a lot when it comes to propelling your entrepreneurial journey and making sure you have access to those seed funds. So these were a few of those funds that actually helped me during my entrepreneurial journey. And at the same time, raising capital is a whole different ballgame when it comes to pharmaceutical things. We are still doing that, and it becomes difficult when you are not from a when you're not a legacy pharma company. But saying that, there are options these days to also attract funds from outside India, and you can also have, you can tap into those funds. They are very much accessible. They are for conducting extramural research, and you could go ahead with those funds as well. And then once you are done having an IP on something, that's when the time I always suggest people to go to venture capitalists or investors, because that makes more sense, because there is at least funds to the tune of 75 lakhs to 1 crore at the disposal of any startup today in India if they want to have it, So that is what my 2 cents will be for, when it comes to going for funding. The last part that what I would say is, there are big pharmaceutical houses like the Pfizer Venture Fund, the J&J Venture Fund. They also, for example, J&J Venture Fund has incubated a cannabis company called Avicanna Global Holdings, and it has been incubated in the US. And they also are supporting the company to file their IND. The IND is in pipeline at the FDA, and that has been supported by the J&J Venture Fund. So the same thing here also in India. If you have connections, you can have access to them. And at the same time, there is another very good institution which is called as the Mazumdar Shaw Foundation. They are also actively and very proactively been funding innovation when it comes to biotech sector. So quite an exciting time now. Before it was not, but now you can have access to the funds up till the tune of 50 lakhs to 75 lakhs from the Startup India scheme itself.
Wow, that's so informative. I'm sure our students are listening, and those with their plans and with their things of entrepreneurship, this is going to be one major information to them. So I have a question which says that how difficult has your entrepreneur journey has been, considering this is an unorganized industry, and what kept you going?
Thank you. Uh, to be very honest, it has been extremely difficult, but extremely rewarding at the same time. Today, my work has got me here where I'm having this exciting podium, which I'm sharing with you all. And I'm able to speak about cannabis so openly and with these young minds who are also, very excitedly looking forward to doing something with it. Uh, there has been, when I started my entrepreneurial journey, I was very honest, I was regarded as a madman that who has lost his mind and come back to India.
Every innovator is, I think every innovator is considered that. So
Exactly. It's like a boundary, it's a boundary line where you're treated as if a madman or not. But yeah, I mean, you will, it's been very difficult and challenging. It has been an uphill battle, making bureaucrats understand, making different research, academia, governance, bureaucracy, working with them. It has been a difficult task. I've given my 13 years of my journey. It is very recently that I have started seeing in the last 5, 6 years that there has been an uptick of proactivity amidst the governance and bureaucracy. For example, Uttarakhand right now has opened up the new policies for industrial hemp and medical and scientific use, commercial cultivation. They have proactively gone ahead and did a public announcement of it. They have involved the public, they have involved the stakeholders like companies like ourselves to help them formulate a law. And these things are these things are things that actually these small developments like this are things that has kept us going. Obviously it has been an uphill battle, but when you see that such proactive steps are also happening, it keeps you going. And at the same time, in any journey, you have to motivate yourself, be it your entrepreneurial journey, be it your exercising journey, be it any journey. It could be anything, but your sole motivation has to be within you. I was lucky enough to have this motivation within me, that it will always be my goal was to see that anyhow Indians and India has access to cannabis based medicines, and I did it. Now my next journey is to go for India has access to medicines which are CDSU approved medicines. So now that is the next part of the journey. So yeah, that is how it has been going.
amazing, amazing. So now I have another question from Preeti, and she asked, how difficult was it for you to do the ice breaking and start the conversation among medical professionals regarding using cannabis as a sole medicine? I think that's really a very valid question.
Yes, thanks, Dr. Preeti. So it was very difficult also to start having that conversation, because when I came back to India and I started speaking with the medical community, I saw that the medical community was divided. Some people said that cannabis is really good. We have heard about it in the US. We have heard about it in this. And my cousin who is a doctor in the US prescribes this. And there was another side of the doctors who would say, oh, no, 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 no. I would not use cannabis. Cannabis cannot be utilized for anything. It's not good. And there was a division. And what I understood is that the division existed because uh, the doctors during their MBBS days, they are not taught about the human endocannabinoid system. They are not taught that how our body produces these compounds. So the way I had to break the ice was actually training myself in the jargon of the medical community in such a way that I can have and establish a communication which was clear and concise on how cannabis works. So the first step was to tell them that, look, this is how cannabis works. It works because we have got an endocannabinoid system within us, and this is something that was not taught in the schools and still is not taught and covered widely. And slowly building up that awareness with them, that is how it helped me to break the ice. When I told them, look, when I used their jargon, when I told them like, hey, look, when we were in school, we were taught that pineal gland is a vestigial organ. Vestigial means something which has got no use. But now you know that pineal gland secretes a lot of things. It regulates that your serotonin, your sleep thing. It also secretes another mind. So science has been evolving, and I've been lucky enough to work and come across that a lot of medical community people who have been open to it, and that is how I started speaking with them. And when it came to using them, and there's the next part is that when it came to using cannabis as a medicine, there was again, after discussing with them, I saw there was again a problem that needs to be addressed. One is that right now the cannabis medicines that we are producing, these cannabis medicines are coming from, I have a raw material source which is based on the government. Okay. Now we, in order to make medicines which are reproducible, which are standardized, we need to have a controlled, a reproducible system of raw material access. Now, in order to do that, we had to show to the doctors that there is a way in which we could do that, and the first step of doing that is actually by having a controlled grow, then showing it to them that, look, these are the individual cannabinoids. This is how they work. This is how they act under the microscope. This is how they look at the cells. We had to share all of that information with them. And slowly, there was a change. And there has been a change, like amongst a lot of the medical community. But the work still exists. I mean, we still have a lot of work to do. We still have to have a system of education that does put focus on in the endocannabinoid system, because look, it is the most important underlying system. I mean, we are taught about reproductive system, respiratory system, the cardiovascular system, but the father of all of this system is the endocannabinoid system, and we are not taught about it. If our endocannabinoid system is jacked up, our entire system becomes jacked up, because it is the precursor to maintaining to maintaining homeostasis. So when I was able to establish this thing with them, that is how I was able to break the ice.
I mean, this is so aspiring for our students. Like, I would really like to take this thing and tell them that, see, there is one person and it is applicable to all of you, all of our students, and many more. That if you have an idea and you believe in it, then one day you're going to change even the system. So
Yes.
today, probably in years to come, we're going to have this system in our textbooks, and probably you would be the one who moderated it. So that gives an immense, it's very aspiring for our students.
Thank you, Trent.
So, sir, and being an entrepreneur and all the things along, I'm sure you must have come across students and like us and like others who would ask you to, like to, groom them or tell them to come on to this journey from innovator to the entrepreneur. If you could just guide our students about it.
Sure. So first thing I would say is to everyone, don't limit yourself. Don't ever limit yourself to your degrees. Don't ever limit yourself to your thought processes, and don't ever limit yourself to anything. Sky is the limit. And if you have an idea, remember, it is one of the most potent things that can change the world, because all it takes is one single idea. Okay. It's with me, it started in that similar manner. And wherever it is possible, I try to push everyone towards having that. Give that forethought. Try thinking really that what would you like to contribute? How you would like to contribute would come later on. But just keep thinking that, what you would like to contribute. When you have, when it comes to cannabis, there will come, I mean, their laws are very, there's a quagmire of laws. There is a whole maze of misunderstanding still that exists. And at the same time, there are laws are getting formulated. When I started, we didn't have anyone to go to. We didn't have a go-to partner. We didn't have a go-to consultant, and we didn't have anyone who could just speak to us. But luckily, in today's date, there's a lot of informational websites. There is a lot of other, there's a lot of information, and it's much more of an open subject. But along with that, what we at Delta also do is we guide people on how they can, you know, uh, from ideation, that from the complete ideation to product launch, how to do that, what to say. If you want to also go and speak to someone, to a bureaucrat, what should you speak? Okay, everything like that. We help all, anyone who comes to us. This is what we give with our advisory sessions. If they come to us looking for, let's say, a complete hand holding support system, where they say that they have an idea and they would like to see this come to fruition in the market, that's what we at Delta also do. It's a complete one-stop solution for from research to launch. And at the same time, when we have laws, the complete GRC system, it's very important to today's date for anyone who wants to enter the cannabis industry to know the laws surrounding it. So as for anyone who wants to know about the laws surrounding it, we help them do that. Apart from that, when somebody comes to us to say that, what is the kind of, when it comes to product, when it comes to, manufacturing, when it comes to doing certain things also, what are the steps needed, how to proceed with it, what are the state laws, what are the central government laws, everything. We give all of that kind of support to anyone who comes to us. So we can help you with that. So anyone who wants any kind of support in that way, we are open to having those inquiries. And yeah, that's how we do it today. And right now in India, we are the only ones to provide this kind of consulting and advisory services. A few of our previous clients have been the Aditya Birla Group, the Vario Group, the Vario Health of New York, Tilray, Aurora. These are some of the brands that we have consulted with. And with our homegrown brands, yeah, I have helped people have an idea and then come to a stage. So one of those companies is Hemptiful. They make these beautiful spreads and dips made out of hemp seed. Another company is called Dwarka Growth Agro, which works with bioplastics, which is the industrial application of the hemp plant. And another of my companies, It's Hemp.in, which is like a Amazon of cannabis products, because there was a problem when it came to selling the products on, we found there was a problem. So we had our own platform where we could sell it. So these kind, there are different ecosystems now that we have built up that can actually help anyone who has an idea and wants to start a business in cannabis. It's there.
So I would take that opportunity to tell everyone here, and especially our students, that see, we have someone with so much of acumen, and he's here to advise you, to guide you. And I think you students should definitely take advantage of it. So then coming to the part that I have a question. I'll just come in that I have a very layman question. I would really want you to take this up, because it says that why is the recreational use of cannabis banned if it has the advantages of so many advantages, but cigarettes are legal? I really want you to take this up.
Thanks. That's a very nice question again. Well, as said by a very famous practicing doctor in the US and a good dear friend of mine, Dr. Uma Dhanabalan, she says every use of cannabis is medicine. A doctor saying this out loud. And she's not just any doctor, but a doctor whose testament was used to formulate laws in Massachusetts. This is Dr. Uma Dhanabalan who said this. Now, actually, recreational use of cannabis has been banned due to the whole Western philosophy and this entire thing that comes to the fact that, when we were under the colonial rule, it was colonial prejudice against the indigenous medicine system indigenous religious system, be it any kind of system which was indigenous, that was looked down upon. So this entire thing, in fact, during the British era, in till date, it is one of the most deepest and longest research on recreational use of cannabis, and it is called as the British Indian Hemp Commission report. Okay. And for the first, they interviewed and they studied more than 1,500 subjects who were using cannabis, either as bhang, which is a drink, or were using ganja as a smoking agent. They interviewed all of them. They studied all of them. And what they found out, that cannabis use is absolutely safe and has got no detrimental effect, and rather banning cannabis would force the general public to divert into something more dangerous or synthetic in nature. This was done in 1800s, and it was done by the British itself. Okay. And after that, what happened is, subsequently, till 1988 and 89, India had a very regulated system of cannabis. Okay. It was only in 1989 that it came under the Indian government, came under Nixon government's pressure, and had to put it into as a Schedule 1 substance. And Schedule 1 substance means a substance which has got no medicinal use, has got absolutely the highest potential for abuse. They stuck it up in that way. And because of that, recreational use of cannabis was banned. And cigarettes, yes, it is dangerous. It is even more dangerous than cannabis. It's known. I mean, I'm not saying that smoking anything is good, but when you compare two of it, cannabis smoke is relatively harmless. It has been seen. But due to the influence, due to the social stigma attached to it, it was banned, saying that this is something bad. And even if you see these days, if you ask someone like you, or your parents of your older generation, when you ask them that, have you heard anyone smoking cannabis? Or they will say, yeah, it's a lower class drug. It's a poor man's drug of choice. It's a poor man's drink of choice. It's alcohol is the normal man's choice of choice. So this system of belief was shoved up by the Britishers, and also consecutively with the Nixon era government. But what is more saddening is the fact that we stuck onto that whole whitewashing for a longer time than it was intended to, and we still are in some way. I mean, like, this entire Canada has gone ahead and, which is also a signatory to the Geneva Convention, they have removed it from Schedule 1. US is still struggling, but it's a state affair, just like in India. They have regulated it for recreational use, and they have a marijuana tax fund in Colorado, which last year clocked $3 billion in taxes. And that taxes came just from the sale of cannabis. So what is happening in Colorado is 15% tax on growers, 15% tax on the sellers. So total 30% tax is taken out from cannabis activity, from all business activities related to cannabis, and that is put into the cannabis tax fund, from where that fund is utilized for different beneficial purposes of the society. For example, building old age homes, for building recreational center for children, for building more housing, old age housing facility, for putting out funds into these places. But unfortunately, this is something that we in India are still lagging behind. We are still in the whitewashed phase where we say, oh, it's all good there, but it's India, we shouldn't do that. But nothing like that. I would say to people that if you would like to actually change the perception, start small, start with your home, because change begins at home. You got to make them people aware. When someone talks that, okay, this is what it is, well, take a step, tell them, educate them, make them aware. You never know, you might be saving someone's life also. So it starts like
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely. And having said that, in the abuse of anything, like even if a drug, even if it is the alcohol of your cough syrup, the abuse of that would definitely lead to something bad. But then here we're talking about the medicinal part of it, the benefiting part of it. So, as our students are also asking that, can you please talk about hemp infrastructure and textiles? I'm so happy that people are here. My students are here, so aware that there are other aspects of of cannabis that has also been explored. So, if you could just throw some light.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, like hemp has a variety of uses actually. I mean, like cannabis is one plant that can give you medicine, food, clothing, building material, and even oil for industrial applications and also for human consumption. So when it comes to hemp infrastructure, it is a very emergent form of infrastructure which is called as hempcrete. It is the most beautiful thing is that although we say it is an emergent form of architecture, cannabis was used also in our ancient India during the time of construction of the Ellora caves, the Ajanta and Ellora caves. I'm pretty sure all of you must have heard about the Ajanta Ellora caves. So in Ajanta, in Ellora caves, in cave number 12, which was like, the Kailasha cave, it was observed by scientists that this particular cave didn't have a lot of variation in daytime and a nighttime temperature. They also noticed that the cave has a lot of like fresh breathability, and they also noticed that the paintings were intact and fresh. So other in the nearby Ajanta cave, it had all degraded, but Ellora caves, everything was intact. So scientists got really inquisitive, and they started looking into it, what is in the plaster. And what they found out will actually baffle you. They found the entire cannabis plant being mashed into a paste, into a, and and being utilized along with other cladding agents and plastering agents to make the hemp plaster, no, to make the plaster. Now, what it did is, because of the hemp plaster, there was no microbial action. So hempcrete doesn't allow any kind of microbial action. You will not find any mold. It was very much breathable. And they found out that is the reason there was such a little difference in between daytime and nighttime temperature. There is a consistent temperature maintaining since these thousands of years constantly because of hempcrete. Now, imagine, just because it's a Western concept like hempcrete, we say it's an emerging technology, but it is something that was already utilized by our indigenous builders. And in today's date, you won't believe this, ASI, under the leadership of MM Singh, is actually utilizing hempcrete to to save the old statues. They are again recreating them with hempcrete, and they are safeguarding them so that it can be stopped from further damage. And then when it comes to textiles, it's even more amazing, because I'm pretty sure you guys know about canvas, right? What is canvas? So canvas, everybody knows, is a cloth used as sail, used for painting, blah blah blah. But canvas is a cloth that has been created from the cannabis plant. Canvas comes from the Greek word cloth of the cannabis plant. So canvas. Without cannabis sales, without the cordage, no trades could have happened. No trade routes would have happened, because it was the sailcloth and the anchors which are used in the ship, and previously all of this happened through waterways. So it was a very, very important, it played a very important role in the modern technological era. it helped it. And when it comes to textiles, hemp textiles are one of the most beautiful textiles for, and also the most healthiest textiles for human body. Why? Because it's the number one insulator. If you're wearing hemp shirts, you will not have underarm sweat, or even if you have underarm sweat, it will not leave any bacterial thing, because like I said, it is antimicrobial in nature. If you're wearing socks made out from hemp, it will not smell, like it will not have any kind of microbial problems. People who have got problems with athlete's foot and wet feet, if they wear it, for them it is the most comfortable thing. In cold times it will keep you warm, and in warm times it's going to keep you like really comfortable. And at the same time, it is the most versatile textile, and also the most versatile building agent, because hempcrete over the ages, it will become stronger and stronger. And even if, and it is reusable, so basically you can break the hempcrete and make it into a construction agent again. With hemp based textiles, it is much more sustainable. The water footprint is lesser, the carbon footprint is even lesser, because when you are growing hemp, there is carbon sequestration. Okay, when you are also doing, when you are building houses out of hemp, then again also you are doing carbon sequestration, because of it, it keeps it absorbs all of it.
That sounds. So, sir, I have, though we have the crunch of time, but just one last question. And I would add to this, like you've been into the industry, you've been the entrepreneur for so many years now, decades. How hopeful are you that things and the scenario are going to change?
Thanks, your friend.
Especially the legalization part. And I have a question from a student.
Yes. I believe that our government is going to take very, very proactive steps soon. The precursor to that has, the ball has already started rolling when it comes to different states. As I said, it's a state affair. Different states are now mulling to create a law. Uttarakhand has gone ahead and already created a draft policy for the medical and scientific use commercial cultivation of cannabis. Prior to this, there was no license, or there was no talk of license for commercial use medical and scientific cannabis cultivation license, but now there. Uttar Pradesh already has a policy that supports the research and development on low THC hemp or low THC varieties of cannabis. Madhya Pradesh was coming up with a policy, but it has, it is still halfway through. Himachal is again reinitiated talks to legalize cannabis for medical and industrial applications. And I believe that in another 2 years' time, we would be able to see a central directive coming out on cannabis-based drugs. So this is what I'm very hopeful about it, and this is what my vision of the future is.
Wow, sir. So that leaves me, I think I would end the session with you on this note that I notice, and I want my students to hear this, that after talking to sir, I'm sure you've got through this, that an entrepreneur needs two things: the belief in yourself, in your idea, in your innovation, and the resilience to just, and the passion and the resilience to go on and on. So students, and sir, on behalf of students, I would really thank you for all the information that you've given up on this platform. And
Sir, I
here
have one question. In addition to that, I just want to ask, in India, we always talk about the naturopathy, natural products. So, how easy you think, how flexible the Indian framework is towards the response of cannabis as compared to the other parts of the world?
Okay, so so when it comes to cannabis in India, especially on the research on research aspects, India has always had a very robust regulation system that you can always do your studies when it comes to cannabis based any kind of cannabis based studies. So basically it could be for medical applications, it could be for scientific application. India always had a very robust law. It's just that it was always overlooked. Our NDPS law basically tries to stop misuse, but at the same time promote its medical and scientific use. But that has never been focused, unfortunately, by the media or by the legal systems. It has always been like clamping down its fines and putting them into jail. But that's not it. I mean, India really has a robust system, and the most importantly, Shikha, like in the year 2018, Department of Biotechnology, ICMR, and CSIR, they signed a tripartite MOU for the development of the phytopharmaceutical mission of India with a specific focus on cannabis and Papaver somniferum and Boswellia as the three herbal, with the three herbs on which they wanted to develop a phytopharmaceutical drug. So very proactive in that way. And I also see today's example, I'm seeing like, where we are here. 10 years back, I could not think of any, going to university and speaking. Today, I'm here speaking to so many of you. So yes, definitely, there's a lot of good things happening in India, and especially when it comes to a system of conducting research or doing anything when it comes to advancing innovation, there is supporting regulation in place. There are supportive pathways in place. But what is not existent in India when it comes to innovation is that proper push for that innovation, proper funding for the innovation. That is very limited. But I think that's where a lot of private universities with their incubators are making a dent. That's where they have certain seed funds. They are helping innovators say, okay, we got your back, go ahead, do your thing, we are incubating you, we are helping you out. So I believe the same thing is also happening in cannabis, because see, IIT Roorkee, where we are incubated at, they are working with cannabis. National Institute of Pharmaceutical Engineering, Education and Research, they are looking forward to working with cannabis. So when we have such support mechanisms, it is easier to work. So yeah, Shikha, I hope it answers your question.
So how acceptable do you feel when you compare the India with the other countries?
How?
How the acceptance you feel? I mean, is the
Okay,
Indian norms are more
acceptance.
flexible, or we are still in a tough spot?
I see there is a lot of acceptance right now in the academic community. There is a huge acceptance in the public, but there is a divide in the bureaucracy. That which is always going to happen, because there is going to be some kind of bureaucratic, angle to it. But even in the bureaucratic community, I see people are being much more accepting, to the fact of it. There was a time when I would be sitting in the secretariat and people would call me, like the excise commissioner would call me, call the ganja wala or call the ganja man. They would call me. But nowadays they treat you with more respect. They're like, Mr. Mitra, please come inside. I would like to speak with you. So the acceptance in the public and in general is changing a lot.
So this is what happened like 10 years back to poppy, when they all started with poppy, the afim that we had.
Exactly.
So this is what I think later on the cannabis is going to have.
Exactly. You are absolutely correct. See, with that also, opiates was not available to pain patients, right?
Right.
The access to morphine was not there. Even till date, it is very limited. But it has changed.
Hmm.
And now there
This
is a
has
private company also which is working with opiates. The government has also given it up. Previously, it was only the government who had an access to it. Now there is a private player also who have entered
now
it.
they're
So
working on nalbuphine also. The
yes,
nalbuphine is very much accepted.
exactly, Dr. Anil.
Hmm.
So there is the acceptance level has definitely gone up. Has definitely gone up, Shikha. Yeah.
Now I think we should end the session. Any questions from the students?
Am I audible, Shikha ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Good afternoon, Vikram sir. I'm Dr. Ramanpreet Walia. I joined a little late because I was stuck up somewhere, and I am also one of the mentor of IE Cell. And it was really I listened to the last part of your session, and it was actually very inspiring and informative that you spoke on cannabis so well. And we generally have this myth that it's being banned and we can't work on it. But yes, because if we follow the due regulations, as you have told, that you can be a support, so we can actually work on this. We know that opioid analgesics, and they have a lot of medicinal properties as well. And one part I was very, fascinated to hear from you, that there are hemp shirts as well, or hemp textiles as well. Is there any specific brand which is manufacturing this textile, which are from?
Yeah. I mean, Weaving Vibes. There's a brand called Weaving Vibes. There is B Label. Then there is Altmat. They are some of the companies which are working with the fibers. And there is a company called Antar, which is making innerwear for both men and women when it comes to hemp-based textiles. These are few of those companies which are working in India right now when it comes to textiles. And there is also like a very big brand which is trying to enter this and enter into the women clothing industry as well. So the part of what we were trying to do with the Aditya Birla group was also to start one of the under their segment. They have right now flax based brand called Liva for women.
Yeah.
For that, now they want to launch a hemp based lineup, which is
Yeah, because they are a major player in textiles. Because when you name big brands, so all are being manufactured by ABG Group only.
Exactly, Ramanpreet ma'am. You're correct. So they are great. They are very heavily into it. And bulk of it, actually, the spinning, big spinning houses, they're all trying to enter it right now. Vardhaman Mills, Arvind Mills, all of them, because it is now very clear that cotton and linen is not so much sustainable. They have a very high water footprint and a carbon footprint, which is not really very sustainable. And cotton dries up your groundwater level like crazy. I mean, look at Vidarbha region and all of that region where we grow cannabis. And right now, Vidarbha, where we're growing cotton Vidarbha right now, I was passing through Vidarbha 2 days back, and it was like, it's like burning. It's 47, 46, 49 degrees is what you get. And the lands are barren, really barren. And that's all because of cotton. So now companies are slowly changing and trying to change and get into, more sustainable way.
Right. That's really good. And we can think of innovative products also from cannabis.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, ma'am, they are bricks, sir. You were saying something. They are bricks that we are used of cannabis, and they're building homes out of it.
Okay. Because I am a patent agent also, so I'm looking for if we can think of any innovative products from cannabis, and we can work on that.
Yeah, ma'am, definitely. Even IIT Delhi is working with one of my, friends. They're working with bioplastics. It is one of a very, it's a game changer. I mean, like plastic pollution is an issue, so that is one product. Working with paper is one. You could make wood, you could make paper, you could make plastics, and you could make so many things out from it. Even Kevlar. I mean, like there is another collaborator company, Namrata and company, they're working with DRDO to make these helmets and suits made out from hemp, because when you go higher up, for the people who go in the colder areas, this becomes much more insulating and warm. So yeah, these things are happening as well.
That's really good. You are ocean full of knowledge, sir.
Yeah,
Innovation.
Innovation, right.
Thank you.
I think, yes, over to you, Ani ma'am.
Yeah.
Shikha ma'am, she ended up.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful lecture. I'm sure many of our students must have taken inspiration from your thoughtful words. Now, in the end, I would like to share the token of appreciation from our side. Just a second. I hope my screen is visible to you.
Yes, it's coming up. Yes, it's visible.
Yeah, sir, we'll be sending you this very shortly.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your valuable time once again.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thanks to the entire team at MET and the management at MET. This is really, I'm really, really hopeful seeing such activities being taken now. A very proactive step indeed in for the industry as well. I believe with more such activities and more such sessions, more awareness would be spread. And with the students, they are our future. They are the future of the next bright India, and I'm so glad and I'm so grateful to all of you for giving me this opportunity to interact with them and to share my insights with them. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.